It's a story of pickleball told by people who play pickleball. And I play pickleball, but it's not my story.
Pickleball is more than just a sport. For many of us, it brings new friendships, new adventures, and can be a transformative experience. Hi, I'm AJ. Pickleball has changed my life, and I love hearing stories of the impact it's had on others, like award-winning director Machu Latorre. This is Machu Latorre's Pickleball Life. We met through a mutual friend, through our friend Sonia, who I know from my pickleball community. And when she told me that I have a friend who's doing a documentary on pickleball, I was like, introduce me.
I do have to say, when Sonia sent me a text and she said, hey, my friend Alana is doing this podcast and she would love to talk to you about pickleball, I was like, yeah. Because I think that's the nature of the pickleball community. And then you asked, like, I'm sorry, what did I just agree to do? You explained a little bit. I'm like, oh, yeah, definitely. But I had already come with the yes because, it's pickleball. Of course, yes.
Hi, I'm one of the founders of 1010-2. We specialize in limited edition pickleball drops of apparel and equipment. Our current drop, Suck My Dink, is live right now. It's a crop top and bra set limited to 50, and we're giving one away. I mean, literally, we're giving number 1 of 50 away. Entering is super easy. Go to Instagram, click on our pinned giveaway post, like the post, follow us on Instagram, and tag 2 friends in the comments.
What got me into pickleball? I think we all have a similar story. And so mine might not be that unique, but I had this friend, and I have to mention her name, Barb. She would not fucking shut up about pickleball. It was nonstop. Every time I would see her, she would be like, 2:00, we have these sessions in Alameda. And I'm thinking, like, who has time to play something at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m.? Like, I have work to do. At some point, I was like, you know what, Barb, I will try. I'm going to try, but there's a good chance that this is not my thing. And I went to play with her and I got hooked. And then I started going 4 or 5 days a week. Oh my God, you're playing pickleball again? Today again? Yesterday again? I became Barb. I was playing and I would kind of see the same people over and over. Every day I would go, I was like, okay, this is bizarre. But yet I was there every day, just like all of them. And people were really friendly, just super friendly, like, oh yeah, sure, come and play. And everybody had a smile on their face. And I was like, is this a cult? Like, this is really weird. It's still no idea of making any film whatsoever. I'm from Spain. So right around that time, I had to go visit my family. And I was like, I wonder if people play this, magical thing over there. And I found, a group of people. I actually found a couple of videos on YouTube from people in Spain talking about pickleball. And I kid you not, they were talking exactly the same way as I was hearing people here in Alameda. Words is like fun and play and strangers and like community were in 2 different languages, but with the exact same feeling. And I thought, okay, maybe there is something here. I'm a filmmaker. I'm like, there is something about this that I haven't seen before. I play sports all my life. I play basketball, I play squash, I play tennis, I play pretty much anything. And I hadn't really seen this sense of community, meaning like you could have people of different ages and people of different backgrounds and all kind of coming together to do one thing that doesn't really require a lot of skill. Because like if you want to be a tennis player, you have to have a skill to play tennis or soccer or golf. I mean, that applies pretty much to everything. But this is like, 5 minutes, you can get someone just like, hit a ball with a paddle and instant smile. You don't also have to do with people because you could do with some strangers. I'm like, I have kids. And the only other time I've seen this happening is with kids. My kids go to a park. My 9-year-old goes to a park. And she can tag a stranger kid. She doesn't need to know the kids. There's like some instant connection with the kids, and they play and they have fun, they smile, they have a good time, they say goodbye, and they don't need to see each other again. They don't need to exchange numbers or even names. And that's how it felt with pickleball. So I was like, okay, I don't want to do a documentary. I don't want to do documentaries anymore. They take a long time. But I'm just going to bring my camera. I feel maybe I should document this somehow. And so I did. I brought my camera one day and I told this, community of people that now I knew, hey, I'm coming on Saturday. I'm going to bring the camera, and I would love if any of you are willing to, share what is it about pickleball? That was my question. What is it about pickleball that makes this so special? So I'm just going to go in and ask this question. If you want to be in camera, stop by and we'll be there. I guess the word got out, and there were dozens of people who were there on the court ready to tell me how excited they were about pickleball and why. Everyone had a different answer, but there was this common word that came up in every single answer, and that was, it's fun. People will think about it. Oh, what is it about pickleball? And at the end, almost everybody will end up with it's just fun. I went online and I looked at the definition of fun. I found the definition of fun, and I found, studies around fun and what that means to humans. But it really opened up this world of, for me, of questioning, why are we not doing this all the time? Technology has such a big impact in our lives, in the way in which we interact with people and communicate with people and, ultimately feel people, that we've becoming more and more, isolated from other face-to-face contact. And I think what happens, the pandemic really took that home. I mean, it forced all of us to be in lockdown and, just have this moments of isolation. And pickleball is it's not, I don't think it's the cure of the world's isolation of depression.
It's not?
I wouldn't go that far to say that, but I think it represents really, and it's a good example of what at its core we need as humans, which is ultimately connect face to face with each other. I mean, with strangers. It doesn't matter what your political or religion ideas are. When you're in the court, you're hitting that plastic ball, and it doesn't matter who's on the other side. It doesn't even matter who you're playing with, who you're partnering with. I mean, you could be partnering with someone who has completely different ideas, and you will never talk to them ever if you were in a different kind of setting. But there you are, hitting a plastic ball, laughing, having a good old time, and then you say goodbye, and then you leave. And there's something about that I think we need as humans. That's really what the film is about. So the stories that we are trying to showcase in the film represent that in various aspects of it. So we started with local stories because it's an indie film. So we didn't have this big budget where we did research and went around the world and found all these different stories. So we started with the local stories, because this is where the story began. And there are many stories here. We started with, talking with Marianne, who is a woman who lost her 26-year-old to a murder. He was murdered, and she was depressed, and through a friend found, pickleball, and her life has changed because now she has this community, and she has something to get her out of the house, and she's laughing, and not that she's forgotten about her son in any way or that, but there was nothing else that she could have done that could, in her own words, to get her over that. And she's found community. And then there are other stories we found local, and then other stories we found by just talking to people, because every time you talk to someone about pickleball, they have 10 other people that play pickleball. And so, then at some point I got connected with the professional world of pickleball and found Lee, who is a professional MLP player who found pickleball in her 40s. And, out of, again, a friend just told her to play, and she was like, oh, I'll do that as a favor for that pack of beer that you're offering me. And then next thing, she's a professional pickleball player, and she has an interesting story behind that, I would, we highlight in the film and why pickleball is important to her and has changed her life. We went to Spain and had, this amazing group of people who are using pickleball as a way to integrate folks with mental disability, and that it's physical disability, and that was one of the most, like it made me almost cry. In Madrid, we went and filmed this tournament. It's an inclusive tournament, and this woman, Carmen, who's got a mental disability, has got Down syndrome, playing with this other woman who is 65. Like 20 years different in age, and they're playing in a tournament, and an international tournament, pickleball tournament in Holland. And that you don't see that. You just don't see that. So all these different stories are just a way to highlight why pickleball is really a representation of what humanity is really about.
So you brought up technology, and it's interesting that you brought it up because you work in technology.
I went to film school. That's my background. I do have a film degree, and film is certainly what I've been doing for the last 25 plus years. But at some point in my life, I realized that film was not going to bring the level of steady income that I needed to have, a family, and so. And it does for me, obviously, for many filmmakers. For me, it didn't. So I started, working in technology, and it really got hooked. Technology has enabled a lot of people to connect with each other. I mean, we're having this interview on Zoom. We wouldn't be able to do this. My family's in Spain. I would not be able to have a connection with them the way I've had before technology was available. Technology also has the power of bringing people, away from, or taking them away from their world, and it's tapping into, the same parts of the brain as, face-to-face contact and human contact is. So the question is, if the essentials of pickleball, what pickleball is providing to people in terms of like face-to-face connection and human contact, can technology get to the same? And I don't. No, I mean, I have a personal opinion and fear, that this could potentially get to that level. I have kids, and I would, I've had an experience, human connection, having experience, what it's like to have connections on via social media. Like, I'll take this 100 times, and I will want my kids to take this. But my experience is also from my generation. I don't know what my kids' generation, is going to be like when they get to my age. And so I think it's worth exploring that. And while the documentary doesn't take a complete deep dive into like the both worlds, it does touch on it. We have experts who are coming in talking about AI and AI companions, which, are meant to, to be not a replacement, but a companion that is, artificial intelligence. And I think those stories are valid as well. I think, humans, we're all a little bit different. We have maybe the same fiber, but I think it's worth exploring that in the film as well.
Where are you in the project?
We are in the middle of production, I would say. And we've been filming for a year. We have, dozens of hours of footage. We know we have more footage that we want to shoot. We have some stories that we want to follow. So we went through the first phase of funding, and now we're entering the second phase of funding, so we can continue to film the remaining of the interviews. And when we thought about, like, should we do a Kickstarter campaign? Should we continue to find private funding for the second phase? One of the things that I thought about was, I've been talking to people in the pickleball world all around the world for a year and a half, and people want to tell their story, and people want to share, what pickleball is about, the excitement about pickleball. Like, it really is a community. It's a social phenomenon, right? And so we thought, well, if it's a social phenomenon and people want to tell the story, and this is an indie film that is telling their story, maybe we put it out there, and if people want to contribute to be part of the story, you know, in the form of funding, so we can move on and continue the film. What a beautiful thing could this be? You know, doing a Kickstarter campaign is a scary endeavor. It's not, you know, it's not easy work. It's not, you know, it's not something you don't put up a page. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into it, almost as much as, you know, looking for, you know, for independent, you know, financing. But we really thought it would be a good approach. So we started doing this. And one of the things we thought was, okay, well, when you do a Kickstarter campaign, you want to reward people for the contribution, right? Like, you want to provide some reward. So we thought, what if we go to some of the, I don't know, some of the folks who make pickleball stuff? Maybe they want to contribute in some way and provide some goods for the campaign, so we can, you know, and then as a community, we'll highlight their product. You know, like, again, it's a community thing. We're a filmmaker, they're producing things. So we sort of like threw out a couple of, you know, messages to people. I cannot tell you how overwhelmed we've been with the support of people. I'm telling you, like, I don't have anything to show you right now, but I have a room in my house and it's full of stuff. Like, Topspin was a company that make like these machines to practice your top spin. They give us like 3 machines. Like, that's like $600 worth of, like, you know, goods, just like that, because they believe in the project. They believe in telling the pickleball story in the way that we're telling the story, which is like, it's a community story. It's a beautiful story. There's no like controversy. They're not like, oh, we're not digging into like the business of pickle. No, this is about like the social phenomenon of it. And so it's been like this amazing, you know, just a response to us just reaching out.
So how can people follow your journey and the film's journey?
We are on Instagram, Pickleball Movie. And the working title of the film is Pickleball, a Game Changer. We'd love for people to follow us and to share the Kickstarter campaign. Over 35 million pickleball players in the country, just in the US. If everybody gave $1, we could make like 10 movies, right?
Thank you for your time. I cannot wait to see this story of yours develop and come to my local pickleball community. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and follow me on all the social medias. I'll see you on the court.